Sebastian Velen had been chief of staff to the Salvani family for 40 years, and in those 40 years, he had never seen the young in-house bookkeeper ask for a meeting with the head of the family by name. So when on a Tuesday afternoon in late autumn, the polite request came across his desk, 10 minutes the next morning, no subject given, Sebastian walked to the back of the accounts wing of the family's small private office and looked at the closed door of the room where Myril Ito had been digitizing the family's paper ledgers for 3 quiet months. The door was shut. The green-shaded lamp inside was still burning. It was almost 7 in the evening and the consigliere had gone home at 5. Sebastian knocked once. "Yes," she said. He opened the door. Myril Ito sat at the long table in a navy skirt and a plain white blouse, her dark hair tied back in a low bun, a pair of modest spectacles pushed up to the bridge of her nose. 3 filing cabinets stood open behind her. 4 ledger volumes lay on the table in front of her. She did not look frightened. She looked like a person who had finished what she meant to finish that day. "Miss Ito," Sebastian said, "your request for 10 minutes with the Don has been granted. 8 in the morning in this room. You did not name a subject." "No, sir," she said. "I would prefer to bring the subject in a folder, if that is acceptable." He nodded. "It is acceptable," he said. "I will see you in at 8. "Thank you, sir." He closed the door behind himself. Walking back along the corridor, he understood, without yet knowing why, that the small modernization the Don had approved 3 months ago was about to deliver something the family had not expected. The next morning at 5 minutes to 8, Myril Ito came through the side door, her plain coat over her arm, a single thin folder under her elbow. Sebastian took her coat and walked her down the corridor. Don Niccolo Salvani, head of the family these last 6 years since his father's death, tall and broad-shouldered, his short dark hair graying lightly at the temples, beard neatly trimmed, eyes very steady, was already at the long table in a charcoal 3-piece suit. He stood when she came in. "Miss Ito," he said. "Don Salvani. Please sit. Sebastian, please stay." She sat. She did not at first open the folder. She laid both hands flat on its plain cover and said plainly, "Sir, I came in 3 months ago to digitize the paper ledgers. I have been working chronologically. Last week I reached the 2nd quarter of the year before last. I would like to show you what I have found. I have not spoken about it to anyone, including Mr. Tarada." Don Niccolo Salvani did not move. "Show me," he said. She opened the folder. She placed 3 pages on the green blotter between them, side by side, in the order she had numbered them in her own neat hand at the corner. "The first page," she said, "is a list of 17 payments made over the past 4 years to a vendor called Espra Holdings. They are quarterly, 3 per quarter, and they are each just below the family's annual audit threshold. The original vendor for that service line on the older paper ledgers was a different company entirely, Rias Forwarding, and Rias was paid by wire to a domestic bank. Espra is paid by transfer through a chain of 3 holding accounts. The change of vendor was never authorized in the meeting minutes that I have read." She moved the 2nd page forward. "The 2nd page is the chain. Espra's listed registered agent is also the listed registered agent for 2 other names this house pays, Kahlo Trading and Marita Services. I cross-checked the agent registrations against the publicly available registry. The 3 vendors share the same registered agent, the same correspondence address, and on closer reading the same authorized signatory. They are 3 names for 1 operation." She moved the 3rd page forward. "The 3rd page is the terminus. Following the chain through the 3 holding accounts, every payment reconciles in the end to a single offshore arrangement at a small institution whose name I have written here. The arrangement is in 1 private name. The name is not the family's. The name is not any vendor's." She did not say it. She let the page name him. Don Niccolo read the 3 pages slowly. When he had finished the 3rd, he stood and walked the long room once, his hands behind his back. He laid a palm flat on the small wall safe at the end of the room and stood a moment. Then he came back. He did not raise his voice. He had not raised it once. "Miss Ito," he said, "who else has seen this?" "Only you, sir." "Are you sure of the math?" "I have triple-checked the math. I have rechecked the registry. I have walked back through the meeting minutes I have access to, I am sure." "How long did this take you?" 3 weeks, sir. I noticed the first discrepancy on a Wednesday. I did not bring it to you until I was certain." He nodded very slowly. He sat down again. He folded his hands on the table. "Thank you, Myril," he said. It was the first time Sebastian had heard him use her given name. She did not flinch, she did not blush, she inclined her head. "I will handle this lawfully," Don Niccolo said. "I will not speak with Mr. Tarada until our external counsel is in the room. You will be protected. Your contract, your salary, and your position are guaranteed regardless of what comes of this. I will ask 3 things. First, lock this folder in the wall safe before you leave the room this morning. Sebastian will give you the combination. Second, keep working at your ordinary pace, and do not change your manner with Mr. Tarada when he comes in at 9. Third, do not speak of this morning to anyone, your firm, your family, no one, until I tell you the matter is closed. May I have your word on the third?" "You have it, sir." "Thank you." She stood. He did not offer his hand. He was old-fashioned about that with women he did not yet know well. He inclined his head to her instead, the way one professional inclines to another. Sebastian opened the door for her. She walked back along the corridor to the accounts room at her ordinary pace, exactly as he had asked. When the door had closed behind her, Don Niccolo turned to Sebastian. "Bring me Counselor Vanish on the private line," he said. "Tell him I will come to him today, not the other way around. Tell him no notes by any office hand but his own." "Yes, sir." The next 10 days went forward in the family's quiet way. Myril came in at her ordinary hour and went home at her ordinary hour. She digitized the ledgers. She greeted Mr. Tarada courteously at 9. She did not change her manner with him by a single fraction. Sebastian, watching her from the corridor twice a day, was quietly astonished. She carried it as if it were nothing, because she had decided it was not hers to carry alone. Counselor Vanish came in at the end of the first week. He took the 3 pages and the original ledgers and worked alone in a locked back room for 4 days. On the morning of the 11th day he came out and said 2 sentences to the Don in Sebastian's hearing. "Every line she put on those pages is correct. Every line. I would like to be in the room when you speak with him." The meeting was set for that afternoon at 3. Mr. Eugenio Tarada arrived at 5 minutes to 3, the way he had arrived to every meeting for 38 years, courteous, gray-haired, in a soft gray suit, briefcase in his left hand, coat over his right arm. He had been trusted by 3 generations. He believed Sebastian thought that he was coming to a routine review. He greeted Sebastian by his Christian name the way he always did. Sebastian held the door for him. Don Niccolo was at the long table. Counselor Vanish was on his left, a single folder closed in front of him. The 3 pages lay face up on the green blotter, in the order Myril had laid them 10 mornings before. Mr. Tarada sat down, he looked at the pages. He read the first, he read the second, he read the third. He set it back very precisely in its place. He did not deny anything. He did not, to his credit, attempt to. He sat very still, and his face went slowly the color of paper. "How long," he said after a long moment, "have you known?" 11 days, Don Niccolo said. "And how did it surface?" "That is not your business now, Eugenio." Mr. Tarada nodded. He understood. He had known the family long enough to understand the order of every word the Don had just chosen. Counselor Vanish opened his folder. He laid out quietly what was required. The full sum, restored from Mr. Tarada's personal accounts within 14 days, the funds, the lawyer noted, had not yet been liquidated. A signed letter of resignation, effective today. A signed confidentiality agreement. A signed undertaking to leave the country quietly within 30 days, with the small pension Mr. Tarada had legitimately earned over 38 years, which the family would honor. No criminal complaint would be filed, provided every undertaking was met in full. Don Niccolo said plainly that this was the family's mercy, not negotiable, and that Mr. Tarada had until the end of the hour. Mr. Tarada accepted. He signed every page. He laid his pen down. He stood up. He did not look at Don Niccolo's face. "May I say," he said, "that I am sorry?" "You may say it," Don Niccolo said. "I will not answer it." Sebastian saw Mr. Tarada to the door personally. He returned the man's coat to him in the corridor and walked him through the side hall to the small side door he had used for 38 years. He opened it for him a final time. Mr. Tarada stepped through and walked down the path without looking back. The chauffeur the family had arranged took him to the airport. The signed undertakings were filed in the family's private vault by the end of the day, Counselor Vanish's notes alongside them. The matter on paper was closed. That same afternoon, Don Niccolo asked Sebastian to bring Myril Ito to the accounts room. She came in at 5 minutes past 4, her coat over her arm, her plain folder under her elbow. She did not yet know that Mr. Tarada had not come back from lunch. She had heard nothing. Don Niccolo was at the long table again. He stood when she came in. He did not waste her time. "Miss Ito," he said, "the matter you brought me is concluded, lawfully. Mr. Tarada has resigned, made restitution, and signed an undertaking to leave. No one beyond this room, Counselor Vanish and Sebastian, knows how it surfaced. That will remain so." "Thank you, sir. There is a second matter. From this Tuesday I would like you to report directly to me in this room with your own staff of 2 and your own keys to the small account safe. You would be the family's in-house bookkeeper at a senior level. The salary is on the page Sebastian will hand you. The title is beside it. I do not ask anything of you beyond your honest work. If you do not wish the position, the answer is no, and your present contract continues. If you do wish it, I would like you to draft the contract yourself, with any clause you require, including the right to resign at any time without penalty, and a confidentiality boundary on what you see in this room. I will sign whatever you draft." She did not answer at once. She looked at the page Sebastian laid in front of her. She read it twice. Then she looked at the Don. "I will accept the position, sir," she said. "I will bring you the contract on Monday." "Thank you, Myril." She did not flatter him. She did not thank him a second time. She inclined her head, the same small, careful inclination as on the morning of the 3 pages, and she said, "I would like, with your permission, to go back to the ledgers now. There is still a 3rd quarter of the year before last to digitize." "Of course." Sebastian saw her out. He closed the door behind himself and stood a moment in the corridor with his hand still on the latch, and understood that the family had just gotten very lucky in a way that 4 months ago no one had thought to ask for. The contract she brought him on Monday was the work of a careful person. It had the clause she had asked for, the right of resignation at any time without penalty, and a confidentiality boundary describing exactly what she would and would not be asked to do. Don Niccolo signed every page without changing a word. Sebastian witnessed. In the weeks that followed, Don Niccolo began quietly to find small reasons to walk through the accounts room at the end of the day, to check the green-shaded lamp, to thank his new bookkeeper for a thing she had done that morning, to sign a single paper before the next. She did not flinch when he came in. She did not blush. She did not flatter him. She did, after the 3rd or 4th visit, look up from her ledger when she heard the door, and smile a small, steady smile that was not for anyone but him. He learned slowly to make her a paper cup of tea from the small electric kettle at the end of the hallway. She drank it without comment, the way a colleague drinks the tea another colleague has made. Sebastian saw all of it. Sebastian said nothing to anyone. By the time of the family's winter retreat, Don Niccolo wrote her a short note on his own paper in his own hand, delivered by Sebastian to the accounts room and not to her flat, inviting her to come down to the country house on a Friday evening for a quiet family supper and to meet his mother. He wrote that she should come only if she wished, and that the chauffeur would bring her home again that night if she preferred. He had not pressured her in the corridor. He had been raised better than that. She wrote back the same evening on her own plain paper. She accepted. She would come on the Friday for supper only. Sebastian met her at the country house door himself and walked her into the small dining room where the matriarch, a still, elegant woman in her late 60s in a dark dress and a string of plain pearls, was already seated. The Don rose. The matriarch took both Myril's hands in her own. "He told me about your 3 pages, child," the matriarch said. "He says you do not boast. I like that." Myril smiled. She thanked the matriarch. She sat. The supper was quiet and unhurried: soup, a small fish, bread, fruit, a single glass of wine that she did not finish. The matriarch asked her about her parents. Myril said her father had taught arithmetic at a country school, and her mother had kept the family books at a small dairy, and that she had grown up understanding that numbers told the truth if you let them. The matriarch listened. The Don listened. Sebastian, standing quietly by the sideboard, listened too, and thought that in 40 years he had not heard his house this peaceful at a Friday supper. When the chauffeur took her home at 9:30, the Don walked her to the front step himself. He did not take her hand. He inclined his head to her, the way one inclines to a guest one hopes to see again. She inclined her head back to him. The car pulled away down the gravel drive. Don Niccolo stood a moment on the step in the cold air, watching the tail lights, his hands behind his back, his face very still. When he turned to come back inside, Sebastian Velen, chief of staff to the Salvani family for 40 years, The man who had seen the new bookkeeper come in for her Tuesday meeting and the oldest servant leave with his coat in his hand 10 days later, and the slow turning of an autumn into a winter, saw for the first time in 6 years the corner of his employer's mouth move into a small, brief, unguarded smile. It was not for the family. It was not for the matter resolved. It was for a young woman in a navy coat in a car pulling away down a gravel drive, who had brought 3 pages to his table at 8 in the morning and had not boasted about them since. Sebastian closed the door behind the Don very quietly and left him with it.